So we are officially in spooky month, and who can guess what I'll be making today? Yes, that's right, after much deliberation for the perfect Halloween themed recipes that I could make for you, vintage style of course, I have chosen the traditional candy apples, or toffee apples, or candy apples, whatever you knew them as, that's what I'm making for you today. And yes, you guessed it, I have never made them before in my life. So without further ado, let's get into the spooky mood and overload our senses with sugar. So I've just realised that I was wearing my apron inside out for the entirety of that first shot, but to prove to you that I do read your comments, here you go. I am wearing an apron today. Okay, so this is a crazy amount of sugar, and in the 1940s as an adult, you would be on an 8-ounce sugar ration a week. So if you wanted to make a Halloween treat such as toffee apples, you would have to save up your sugar allowance in order to make these kind of treats. The same, you would have to save up sugar to make things like jams or cakes. I would say to save up this much sugar, one adult would have to go without sugar for about 2 weeks. So it was possible, and toffee apples were made in the 1940s. In fact, I found the recipe that I'm using today from a website that talks about the 40s confectionery industry and how it was affected and how people would satisfy their sweet tooth, and it gives lots of recipe examples, and this is one of them. Don't worry, I will link it in the description. So yeah, seems like a lot of sugar, but you know what? We've been very good recently and we've gone without. And then pretty much the most important part of this recipe, golden syrup. And for this, I think I'm going to consult my 1950s tin opener. My good God, the tin was actually too big for my 1950s tin opener, so I've had to resort to using a modern one. And as you can see by the way I butchered it, I haven't done very well. So the recipe asks for 4 ounces of syrup and 4 ounces of treacle, which I don't have. So I think I'm just going to double up on the syrup and go for 8 ounces. And it also asks for a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar, which I also don't have. And I also don't have lemon juice or white vinegar, which can act as substitutes, annoyingly. But I do have baking powder, which should hopefully work just as well. And to weigh my 8 ounces of syrup, I'm going to weigh my little measuring cup first. So that weighs exactly 2 ounces. I need 8 ounces of syrup, and so it needs to read 10 ounces in the end. I really hope my math is mathing there, but we'll see. Oh my goodness gracious, this is getting close. Oh no! Ooh. No word of a lie. That is dead on. 10 ounces. It is filled to the brim. So we've been sizzling away for some time now. You might be able to hear it still. And modern recipes would say that this would be the point you get your thermometer and test to make sure you had the perfect temperature. Now obviously we don't have a thermometer, and I don't think many people in the 1940s would have either. So I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. which is to spoon a little bit of the syrupy mixture into cold water, and if it falls to the bottom and hardens, it's at the perfect temperature. Oh, okay, we have not done bad there. That is exactly what it is supposed to look like. A bit of it did stay at the top, so I'll probably give it just a little bit longer, but you can see it is starting to get to that cracking temperature, which is exactly where we want it. That looks really good. So it seems to be story of my life on this series, but I don't know if I did them quite right. But when I tested the temperature of the syrupy mixture, it seemed to be perfect, but the coverage on the apples themselves is a bit hit and miss. But they look great. They look kind of Snow White spooky, I think, which was not intentional. And I did get that lovely cracked consistency that I wanted. I'm actually not that big a fan of candy apples. I don't actually have that much of a sweet tooth at all. Like, I have a fair near to me, and I don't think I've ever bought a candy apple in my life when going to the fair. But today, I'm going to try one properly for the first time and see how it tastes. Just a little close-up for you on the concoction that is my toffee apples. Don't know what happened here. Lots going on there, but I don't know, I do think they look kind of good, somehow. Perfectly imperfect, as I always say. Okay, I'm going to go for it. Woo! Oh! The crack of that sugar. If you listen to that, I think I did get the sugar in quite a good consistency. My goodness. Woohoo! That is sweet. It is alarmingly sweet. The sugar mixture is crazy, and this isn't even one of the thicker coated ones like these babies, so yeah, wow. I can see why kids love these. Oh. Like, I've never found such a juxtaposition between healthy food and sugary snacks as the toffee apple. I think I did well with the sugar. It literally snaps off. Whoop. 2-second rule. That's the aim, isn't it? For it to be like, you know, it cracks right off. I'm such a wimp when it comes to sweet stuff. Like, if it's too sweet, I find it a bit sickly. Like, I don't like candy floss. It just, I'm much more of a savoury person. But I have to say, these are good. And it's weird, even though they're not my favourite, they taste nostalgic. Bear in mind, I never had these as a kid. I never went to the fair and asked my mum to get me one of these. But they still taste nostalgic. They still taste very comforting. And they weren't all that hard to do, and you know, you'll probably do a better job of it than I will, and you know, be able to get the sugar consistency better and be able to spread it on the apples even more, maybe make them look spookier. I don't know, but it was a really fun vintage recipe to try, and in the 40s it would have been a really nice sugar hit that people were probably just desperate for. So yes, definitely a recipe that I enjoyed, and definitely one that I would be taking to the Halloween party at the local church hall. Let me know what you guys thought of this video, and if you think you're going to try this recipe yourself, then make sure you drop an apple emoji in the comments below. And if you're not going to try this recipe, then just a simple pumpkin emoji and a happy Halloween will do. Which reminds me, happy Halloween.